Hi, I'm Zoe McEwen, UK course consultant for the UK Academy of Wedding and Event Planning. And today we're going to have a quick chat with one of our students, Nicola Jackson. Hi, Nicola.
Hello there.
Hi. Who's very kindly holding a camera still on the top of the screen so we can see her. So if you're our mates, you can put it down, Nicola, don't worry. So, Nicola, which of our courses do you do?
It's the wedding and event planning. It's the diploma that I'm doing.
Diploma in wedding and event planning. So we
Yeah.
just go back though. So before you did the course, what were you doing? What sort of made
Good.
you decide?
How far back do you want me to go? My history's well, my degree is in French and Spanish. So I loved traveling. I loved communicating, and I sort of fell into marketing, and I absolutely loved marketing. I was involved in lots of amazing elements, and the part of it that I enjoyed the most was the event organising. And I worked for an event planning company, but it was always from the corporate side of things. And it was big gala dinners or corporate hospitality, but very much about rewarding people for results and not personal at all.
Mhm.
I also worked as a product manager for a motorcycling clothing company, and whilst I was doing marketing as well, I also organised our own photo shoots. So I really enjoyed that element of it. Um, then I'd say three major things happened in my life that kind of made me reassess where I was. The first one was that my father sadly passed away 9 weeks before I got married. And the second thing was I got married, and then a year later I had my first child. And
Mhm.
I think those three elements made me suddenly sort of reevaluate what I was doing.
Yeah.
And the main thing was that I really enjoyed my job and I was good at my job, but it didn't really give anything back. I travelled a lot for my work, and that didn't really suit family life. And so I decided that I wanted to do what I always had dreamed of doing, and that was being a wedding planner. And I knew that I know that the skills that I learned in the corporate world are completely transferable to the industry I want to be in, but I wanted something that would give me some accreditation and give me, I don't know, something that would tell everybody else that I was able to do what I know that I am capable of doing. There you go. That was
Yeah.
quite
No, I think
a
what you're
long version.
saying, I mean, a lot of people will recognise, I would recognise it too. I was a teacher for 17 years, secondary school teacher, and then I went on maternity leave with my third daughter and just thought, you know what, there's more out there I can do, and now's the time. And it is those moments in life where things change quite a lot and you think, oh, if I don't do something, it's going to carry on, things are going to happen, and I'm still going to be in this job, or I'm still going to um, be here, and I can change things and I can improve my life if that's what I want to do. And like you said, just get more fulfillment out of what you do. If you're going to go to work every day and leave children, then you want to
Yeah,
make the best of that time you're away from them and be happy, don't you? So
definitely. I didn't want to look back in 10, 15 years ago, well, I always really wanted to be this, but I didn't do it. And I think that having children did give me the opportunity to sort of stop a career and then start or look for another one. And yeah, I mean, I loved my job, but it didn't suit my life now, and it wasn't what I wanted to be doing
yeah,
forever.
and I think also everything that you went through, that's quite close to your wedding, with your father dying and things like that, gives you another level of empathy and understanding about weddings as well, the complications of it, and actually life does carry on, and
Yeah,
your wedding's a huge event for you, but everything else is still going on and everything is still happening, and the world doesn't stop. And I think that gives a really good starting point as a wedding planner, because it can be very all consuming for that person and that bride.
yeah,
And I think if you're seeing it as as a job and the reality of the situation, and you've done it yourself, which I think, you know, definitely helps when you're going to be a wedding planner. If you've planned a wedding for yourself and you've had those feelings, and not all wedding planners have, but I think it does help you to understand you know, what they're feeling. And certainly weddings definitely brings out sort of the best and the worst in people, and the ups and the downs, and it, you know, everything you've gone through is going to highlight that and help, hopefully for you, to make yourself the best planner that you can be. So you again, you know, it's a common story. So people think, oh, I'm going to start this, but then really don't know what to do. And your decision was a good one to get some kind of a qualification. And I think also in doing that, you help yourself in terms of sort of solidifying that this is what you want to do. So you can think about it for a long time and do it. Oh, I'm going to do it. And then when you enroll on a course, it's like, oh, I am actually, I can do this. I am going to do it. You know, did you get that sort of feeling?
I think it sort of felt a bit surreal at first. You know, I enrolled on it and I was very excited. At the time, I was expecting a second child. And so I think in my head, I thought, oh, I'll just do this while I'm on maternity leave. But as I'm getting more and more involved in the course, I think the thing that it is exciting me is so certainly getting feedback from yourself, but also more recently I've joined the Academy Live Facebook page, and being able to sort of communicate with other students, I think has made it a little bit more real. And now I think I'm less, I don't want to say the word embarrassed, but when I was working in the corporate world, I was promoting somebody else. I was promoting somebody else's product, and that, you know, that you almost could hide behind the fact that it wasn't necessarily me. Whereas for this is, you know, you're selling yourself.
Yeah.
And so I think that I've almost sort of used the course as a way of, well, I'm not actually really doing it properly yet, but I think I'm really enjoying the fact that it's giving me skills and networks that mean that, okay, this isn't just me doing a course and it's not going to lead to something, you know, that I can see that there's possibilities and avenues out, you know, once I'm not just studying, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And I think those are two really good reasons for doing the course. Firstly, you know, you want to explore and just see what else is out there. And there's so many different parts to being in the wedding industry, so many different ways you can go and achieve the success, the business, the job, whatever it is you want to achieve. And secondly, a lot of people do it because they just think they're really going to enjoy it and they want to just see where it takes them. And I think it's kind of those two things together, you know, explore all the angles, but just let it take its course. Like you say, what you feel like while you're doing the course, you're starting that process, but it's not too big a deal that you have to feel that pressure, especially as people start out. We'll still have, most people who are doing our courses will still have jobs and life and commitment, all of those things going on, which is why they choose an online course. So you want to feel like you're starting out, but not put too much pressure on yourself until you're ready, and you'll know when you're ready. And that, as you said, just developing some of those networks in the Facebook group, just showing that there's other people out there doing similar things, or there's other people further along than you who've already got a business slightly set up and are looking at different, and you can see, oh, that's happening for them, or you know, just different angles on it. And there are lots of students setting out into this industry, but they'll all have slightly different niches and all go in slightly different directions, and some, you know, some will flourish, some will find other directions than they started out doing initially. You know, when some people come to me and they say, oh, I want to be a wedding planner, but perhaps by the time we get to the end of the course they're doing something else. You know, they've found another like a hire business or something else. They've bought a business. I've had a few students recently who've bought other businesses from other people doing things in the industry, or worked in a bridal shop when maybe they thought they would be a wedding planner. So I think that's partly what our courses are for, just explore and see.
Yeah, and it's definitely sort of going to open your eyes more, so open my eyes to different possibilities and what will fit around my life. And I know that will change as the children get older and as circumstances change. But I think I've always found it. So one of my close friends is a wedding photographer, and I've spoken to her about lots of elements, and I found it quite easy to network with other suppliers. But I think networking with other wedding planners is trickier, because and I think because it sort of harks back to my corporate days, where it's all about competition. Whereas I'm finding more and more in this industry that it's not really, whilst they might compete in some areas, it seems much more collaborative and much more helping each other and giving each other advice. And I think that's something that I found quite strange, pleasantly surprised, because sort of back, and I'm glad I've left sort of corporate days behind. But that's an element of it that I've liked discovering.
Yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
I agree with you. For again, two reasons. One, it's good to get to know the other wedding planners who work locally to you, and you'll then be able to suss out each other's niche a little bit. So I know when certain people come to me that they will end up with the other wedding planner who
right.
I just know. And I almost want to say, have you gone to her? Do you want to just check with her first before I come out and we do a meeting? And I know there's other clients who would be better suited to me. I mean, I specialize in marquee weddings. She's not so much. She's a little bit more corporate in her approach, but because we know each other, we kind of know that, and then it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I compete for the work still, but sometimes I would just know. And the other angle on it is that we kind of have an agreement, a few of us, that if for whatever reason I just couldn't do that wedding on the day, I mean, I have other people that I work with, but that one of us would try, if we could, to step in for each other. If I was ill on the morning and you wake up and they're free, that kind of thing. I mean, it's never happened, but I think just knowing that, and knowing that each other work like that, I think you can. Sorry, I've got an alarm thing on there. I think you can give some reassurance to brides and couples as well, because often they will say, but you're just, there's just you and maybe some people that help you set up on the day. How can I be sure you'll definitely turn up? And I can reassure them by saying, I work very close with the other wedding planners in the county, and we know each other quite well, and so one of those would, I would definitely get someone, and we would have someone step in. So I think that helps. But yeah, don't be afraid to contact the other wedding planners, when you feel ready, and see what they're doing and what they're up to, because it's as much for your benefit as theirs to find a slightly separate brand and niche.
Yeah, my friend who's the photographer, she said there's only so many weekends I can work in a year, and like you said, what if she broke her leg or was ill? It's good that you've got a network of other people that you respect and get on with.
Yeah, definitely. So you're already saying about getting out and meeting people, and that's great that you've got that enough confidence so far to sort of get yourself out there and meet people already. What bits have you found that you've enjoyed most from the course?
I think the thing that I really am enjoying is the opportunity to look at brainstorming in a different way. I think in the past, certainly when my job was a very different job, and I almost didn't have time to think about things. It was like you just had to do them. And I think I've always been very organized and planned, but it's having that time to sort of think a little bit differently about things. So I've really enjoyed the creative side of it, researching and creating the mood boards and putting them together and thinking about things creatively.
Yeah,
So
and
that's that I'm enjoying at the moment.
I think that's also more of a bonus of having your own business as well. So you get to spend as long as you want or not on doing all of those elements and putting it together. And if you're very creative and that's going to be a side of you that you want to show and explore, then you should spend lots of time on that. And if you've realized from the course that those are the bits you're liking, kind of what you've just said now, kind of think about that and think, so how can I make that my future business, the thing that I'm enjoying the most? So just spend a little bit of time just reflecting on that and thinking, okay, so I like the brainstorming and the putting together of the ideas. Can I make that the core of my new business?
And that's that's what I've been thinking this week, that I love weddings, and I know that's something that I wanted to get into, but I have been thinking more about inspirational elements of it rather than the actual running of a day. In my former, I keep harking on about it, in my former career, I used to organise the photo shoots, and I've done a couple of styled shoots with my photographer friend, and so I wonder if that's more of the way that I want to be going. So it's more providing inspiration. But so I'm definitely open to possibilities and what opportunities come about. But that is definitely one side of things that I'm sort of pushing more in my own head at the moment.
No, that's good, because that's what you should be doing. That's what the course should be doing. So maybe you need to think about blogging. That might work for you. And styled shoots, definitely. It's really popular, and very simple to start doing. It's not simple to make a really good job of it. That's a tricky thing, but I'm sure you can explore and do that. But it's very simple to get going, and a blog, and then sort of exploring your brand quietly while you haven't got that many people sort of watching over you. And then as it gets grows a little bit and you get some style shoots and things like that, it'd be interesting to see where you can take it. So have you found fitting the course in with everything else?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I lost this.
Yeah, how have you found fitting the course in with everything else, completing it online and finding the time and motivating yourself to keep going?
This is the $1 million question. I would like to have been doing it faster than I'm doing it. However, this year's probably been one of our trickiest years. My husband started a new job as a head teacher, and then we had another baby, and then we undertook an 8-month build project, which I managed. So I completely underestimated how disruptive an extension was going to be, to the point where I didn't have anywhere. I didn't have any physical space, or really any mental or space or energy. So as well as looking after a family and just the dust that was in our home, it sadly, the course sadly had to take a bit of a backseat. Now I actually have a physical room and not people in my house all the time. My husband's extremely supportive, so I'm going to dedicate time one evening and a day at the weekend when I can actually be dedicating it to this. So that, because I think up until now it's been whenever I've got a moment I've fitted it in, whereas now I think it needs to be, this is my time that I need to do it. I find the sort of the researching side of it something that I can do all the time, and even if I'm just walking to nursery with my son, I can be thinking about different ideas. And generally I think most ideas come to me when I'm not sat in front of a computer. I think they're usually when I'm outside or just doing something else, but the time I want to sort of, that I need to set aside, is the time to sort of collate all of that and write it down. So in terms of the research, I've been able to sort of research several units in advance, but it's then the sort of just, right, now I need the time to just sit down and
No, that's fine. I mean, everybody works in a different way, and luckily the courses are flexible that you can do that, so you can dip in and out of it, and you needed that time, you take that time, and then you feel like, okay, I had 8 months of not, and now I'm ready to come back into it. So I think that helps, just gives you that other focus, doesn't it, and know that you did the right thing, and now you can move on. And I think if you take it too quickly, sometimes you miss those things anyway. Sometimes if you're really just focusing on, I've got to do it, the units like that, you don't give yourself the time to realize which bits you liked, which bits you didn't like, how you could develop it further. And I think that's the nice thing about having the course like that with all the units. You have to work the units in order, and you sort of get your feedback slowly from each one as you've done it. but rather than a course where you go for a weekend or a week where you're
Yeah.
thrown all the material and then just left,
Yeah.
with this it takes you through chunks, you know, small chunks at a time, and in a natural progression, so that you feel like you are developing as a person, as a student, into the industry at the same time. And on the diploma, then you've got the business units at the end, so by the time you get to those, you'll be able to see what it is you may or may not do with your new business if you're ready to set it up yet.
I really like how you put that, because I think otherwise, I think I've been looking at it in terms of putting lots of pressure on myself that I've got, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But I really like the angle that you've just said there, which is, but you also need the time to absorb it in and think about it. So
Yeah,
I think that's a good.
I think you can miss things in there if you just take it as a course you've got to complete.
Yeah.
And you know, the people that do the best out of it don't view it like that. You know, they really enjoy it, they really soak it up, they take the time to appreciate the things that they do well, and they work out as they go through the course what their brand, what their style, who they are, what their personality is, and what they can best present. Even if they're going,
Yeah.
if they're not setting up a business, if they're going to get a job, you need to know that about yourself. You need to be able to sell who you are, what you can do best for that company. You need to be able to style your work, show them some examples, and be clear. And hopefully, if you just allow yourself that time, that comes, and then you're better ready at the end to make that work for you. So what are some of the other things, because I know you've got other things going on that you've been working on? Is that how you're fitting them in?
Other than keeping two babies alive.
Yeah.
um,
So you have started the business. Well, you've got kind of a bit of a brand and a start for the business.
I, funnily enough, I found it much easier to sit down and write my own website than I ever found writing anything for somebody else's website, because it has been in my head for so many years. So I was on maternity leave with my first son, and my photographer friend approached me, and she knew that I had organised photo shoots before, and she was changing from being a wedding photographer to being a children's photographer. And she said, would I organise the photo shoots for her? And I agreed. And as we got nearer and nearer the time, she said, she wanted to host the photos somewhere. And so we were thinking about, well, where are we going to host them, on her website, or are we going to create another website? And she just turned to me and said, but why don't you just start your business? Why don't they go on your website? It's a styled shoot. It's about showing how you develop a theme and how you present that theme. And I turned to her and I said, well, because we're doing the shoot in 4 weeks' time. And she said, and? So I pulled in a lot of favours. A really dear friend and my very first boss is a website designer, so I pulled in some favours there. A friend of my mum's designs logos. So I had all the ideas were in my head, and it was just making them become reality. So we did this shoot where I just big steel and borrowed props. We made a lot of the props in there. And then it went really well, and we had a good reception to the shoot that we did, which was an Alice in Wonderland themed. And she said to me, shall we do another? And I said, okay. At the time I was 5 months pregnant. I went, okay, why not? And this time I was really surprised. I approached 8 different suppliers, and they all very, very readily wanted to be involved in the styled shoot. And I think I was just surprised at how much appetite there is for people to want to showcase their products, especially if they're local independents and they don't have the budgets to be able to go and shoot their own things. So we did our second shoot, which was a Wizard of Oz themed shoot, and everything that was in it was donated to us for free, and all of the suppliers just benefited from the amazing photographs from it. And then from there, I just wanted to start getting my voice, or I think you said earlier, get my personality in my brand. So I've been blogging really, and it's really been things that interest me, or advice that I was given when I was planning my wedding, but also things that I've sort of learned along the way. So I've started working with other suppliers and actually getting them to contribute to my blog so that it's experts giving opinion on their specialist
Mm.
area.
Yeah.
So outside of that, several friends have got married, and I haven't planned their whole weddings, but I've been really involved in sort of giving advice and giving them tools and helping them with budgets and schedules. And I think that's my thing. I was always really good at scheduling, and I've got this ridiculous schedule that I think my friend's husband nicknamed her clipboard because it was that detailed, but it just meant that her day just was absolutely seamless. There was, everybody knew what they were doing and when they were doing it. So that's the kind of thing I've been doing. I've just been
Yeah.
helping friends of friends, dipping in when I can to help with specific areas.
Yeah, no, that sounds
Yeah, I'm
great.
sort of
I mean, you've just,
dipping my toe in.
well, I think it's just taking those opportunities and not saying, "Oh, I haven't got time." No, I can do it. Let's do it. Let's do
Yeah,
it, because no time is a good time. With the things that have gone on in your life in the last few years, who knows what's around the corner? Another
yeah,
job, a house move, baby. You just don't know. So there is no time, and there's no point in putting stuff off. We all know, however busy, we can squeeze more stuff in. We can do it if we really want
yeah,
to. We're motivated, and it's only us that can make it happen. You know,
yeah,
and I think you sound like you've got a clear vision. You're using all these opportunities and these chances, and you will see more as your brain really develops this. You will see more. I'm already thinking you could, if your schedule is good, you can use that to draw people into your website. They can download it for free, or there's all sorts of different angles you could use on that. If you've got these, like you said, if you're more into the tools than planning the
yeah,
whole wedding, find those, see what you can do with them, how you can use them to get people to your blog or to your site, or to use and buy into other services of yours that you want to sell, and make money on the things that you enjoy doing. And it might be that you become somebody for a while that just makes your name and gets your name out there with styled shoots, which is great.
yeah,
There's lots of people, as you said, that want to do styled shoots, but just, and it's not difficult, but it is getting yourself
yeah,
on the phone, pulling a few things together, using those skills, and people can be scared to just do that, to just ring a few supplier friends and just put something together, and then
yeah,
having the confidence to pull that theme off on the day and be sure that you're really clear about what it is, and then using all of those things to then, for PR, not stopping when I've got my pictures, now what I'm going to do is really get them out there. And you can do that, be brave, go to editors for magazines, go right to the top, go to the big magazines and try and get your photos used, because they want the material, they want that stuff. And if it's good, then that's a real boost for you too. So just keep working on what you've got, and you are now the expert on what you do. Don't think that other people are experts. You are. You've done 2 styled shoots that have worked really well. You've got your blog, you've got your website, everything's starting to come together. And just keep moving it forward with the course. And when you get to those business units, I think they're really going to help you, with your background as well in business. They're going to help you sort of pull it all together.
hope so.
Yeah, no, there's lots going on. Do you have any questions for me before we finish? Sorry, we've been talking for a long time.
I think the biggest one for me was, so I've sort of dipped my toe into little bits and pieces, but it's, how do you get that first wedding? How did you start out how did you get your
Yeah.
first wedding?
Okay, so like you, it was about getting my name and my brand out there as much as I could. So I did have my website, and I was meeting suppliers and going to a few sort of local ladies networking meetings and things like that, and thinking, okay, well, I'm just doing a bit. Then I did get quite a few things. I did work hard on getting things published in magazines. I did get
Right.
some articles. My blog was blog of the month in Wedding Ideas magazine or something, and I did get a few things out there, and I was still thinking, oh, okay, but there's not that much coming through. And then what I did was, any which way I could, was just offer my services for free, and that's when it started to come together. So I at wedding fairs, I didn't do many wedding fairs, but at wedding fairs there is always a competition, always a competition. So you know, they enter and fill in as they go in the door at the beginning. So I just said, you know, do you want, as part of your competition, do you want to offer 4 free hours with me with a wedding planner? I did that for radio, local magazines, all of them. Just watch out for when they have a bridal issue, and when they do, or they if you see something coming up and you think, oh, it's coming. So now I would be starting to think about Valentines.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not too early to start thinking, okay, there are going to be editions of magazines coming out, and they'll be putting them together sort of Christmas time, ready for the Valentine's issue. So you need to start thinking now about getting yourself in there. So if it's a blog post or a PR post, if it's a styled shoot that you've got that you want to ask them, do they want to, you know, do they want to include it? You could offer a styled engagement shoot free to a couple. Just see what you like, what you want to do. You know, don't offer us something that you think, oh, I've got to go through with that now. You know, I should never have said that. But I offered hours because I thought, well, then they get like 3 or 4 hours. They might add on more hours, which some of them did. Some of them didn't. Some of them didn't take the 3 hours when they'd won the competition anyway. Fine, but that's how I did it. And then it kind of grew from word of mouth. And then I worked quite hard on my website and getting the Google rankings and getting my website to be the very best it could with the blog. The blog definitely helps if you connect your blog to your website. And then I started to get people contacting me, other suppliers or radio shows or things like that. And then I would just sort of flip it and say, yeah, okay, well, I will, you know, say a few bits on the radio show, but how are we going to work this out? I need some, you know, it kind of grew. And you just think of angles and just out of all of this, the one thing is work on your business. So it's not really the 50% probably of my day is thinking about how am I going to keep going with my business? How am I going to keep drawing in the set? How am I going to keep getting my name out there? Finding new business. And then the other half is actually doing the job. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And I've still always got my marketing hat on. It doesn't come off, I don't think.
No, and I think it's the people that lose sight of the fact that when you run your own business, you are really, really running your own business. That miss it. You know, you cannot sit back and wait. You have to find new ways. And with everything that I've done, even just the little when I've thought. I went down to London and met some people for something, and I thought, oh, you know, really, is this going to go anywhere? I've got to get a train to London. I've got to do this. Maybe that thing didn't, but something else then evolved from it later on, or somebody remembered my name or remembered. So that's another thing I would say is just, you know, okay. Like I know you know you've been quite active on our Facebook and entered the competitions and got yourself out there in different ways. Just keep doing all of those different little things, and your name will just start to keep popping up for people, and just watching out for the media angles locally to you. I had the local newspaper did a piece on new business starts out, so it wasn't about weddings at all. They just had a feature section that they used to do on a new business. So I approached them and said, could you do that? Could I do that? Just, yeah, your marketing and your background there will help you, but I think start as soon as you can, because it does take a little while. And then the other problem is with weddings that you get your first wedding or your first bits of work, but it can take sort of 6 months to a year before you get those pictures. So the sooner you can start out getting yourself out there, the better.
Okay, all right, that's good advice.
You seem like you're brave enough.
Well, I think that competition actually reignited my passion again as well. I think there's been lots of things on the Facebook page at the moment about sort of self-doubt and people apprehensive, and I think that sort of gave me a bit of a confidence boost. Because you can sort of work in solitude. I know I get the feedback from yourself, but sometimes you sort of feel a bit like I'm just working on this and I'm in a little cocoon. And I think that gave me the confidence that what I'm doing is not just pleasing to myself. So yeah, I enjoyed that kind of thing, and I'm very pleased with the opportunity and the exposure from that. So
yeah, well, just keep thinking around that. How can you do that for yourself? Do you understand how can you do more of that and put it out there? Just keep putting it out there, keeping it out there on Pinterest, Instagram, blogs, Twitter.
Yeah. Okay, that's great.
Drive everyone mad with it all. But like Sarah Burnett and Burnett's boards, that can be a version of that, can be your own version of that. But she just started out with an idea. She got her blog, she got a website. Everything's possible. There are plenty of successful people out there in the wedding industry.
Yeah.
You can be one of them too. You will be one of them too.
Thank you.
You will. Okay. No, it's been really nice to talk to you. And I think that people will find that interesting, all the different things that you've done and the different things that you will go on to do. I feel quite inspired listening to you that that you will find those angles and those opportunities. And I look forward to seeing where you end up, where your new business ends up. So yeah, keep in touch, and if you need anything, then obviously we're here, and we'll let you know when this goes live. Thank you for talking to us.
No worries. Nice to put a face to a name. Thanks very much.
Yeah, nice to meet the tutor. Thanks, Nicola. Bye.